Right, ladies and gents, welcome. And I've selectively greeted some people whose faces I could see. Some of you I do know, some of you I don't. But it's my privilege to actually have you here today. As we speak, I'm just admitting one or two more people. Today, covering the topic of being my own best friend. Such an important topic. And by the way, we're celebrating our 21st monthly Free Friday lunch webinar today. As I said before, we started September 22, and the idea will be certainly to carry on with topical issues that you will hopefully find valuable. And always let me know if there are things that you would like me to add from a topic point of view, and I'll gladly do that. Right, without any further ado, I run a company called Soldati, where we believe in our tagline, growing leaders and impacting results. We also have a company called Soft Skill Solutions, a couple of exciting things as far as soft skill solutions are concerned on the horizon, and I'll share those with you as time goes by. Just a couple of housekeeping issues, nothing serious, but just a couple of things to take note of. Firstly, thank you for being here once again. Please mute unless you ask a question, and then mute again. I'll try and aim for 25 minutes of presentation and then 5 minutes of Q&A at the end. Please mail me if you want to be added to the distribution list. If you are not content with the fact that you might have received this invitation from somebody else, or you can obviously add on our website, you can also register to get the invitation for these monthly Free Friday Lunch webinars. So also, if you want a copy of an urgent copy of today's recording, please let me know. Otherwise, it will be available on our website towards the end of next week after it's been edited. And then, yeah, please mail me your future topics. At some point, I'm going to run out of topics. There are a number of them that we've just listed on our website. I'll show it to you at the end. But if there are something that you are finding as challenging, please send it to me. We'll review it. In all probability, like we've done in the past, we will also add it as a topic for a Free Friday Lunch webinar. I want to start off by saying I don't have the magic wand. I certainly don't. But my self-appointed role is to also, with these sessions, share with you different perspectives. Cat sees a lunch, and the toddler sees potentially a friend or a toy. And hopefully those different perspectives will lead you to live life differently better. And I'm not saying it in any way to sound arrogant, no. But maybe there are one or two or three things that you can take home, actually practice in order to master the topic of discussion better and with more success. I'm going to allow one or two more people in, and that's it, unfortunately. Right, so if you've missed any of these sessions, all the previous ones are listed as vlogs on our website. Please go to the resources tab on the right-hand side and click on Insights, and you'll find them. As always, I invite you to reflect and specifically ask yourself in the areas where you realize there's a big gap between where you would like to find yourself and where you're currently at, to specifically focus on those low-hanging fruit areas or subtopics. So, being my own best friend, let's ask the question, why? But why do I need to have, to be my own best friend? Julie Ledbetter says, treating yourself like our own best friend can really improve our mental health, is that we start to pay attention to our own needs. So just as we would listen to our own best friends when they're feeling overwhelmed or feeling in need of support, we can learn to listen to ourselves in the same way. So mindful.org gives a slightly different perspective. They say friendship can sometimes feel fraught, but if you play your cards right, there's at least one friend who will always have your back, that being you. Medium.com says being your own best friend means you'll have less drama and stress in your life. So why is all of this important? Well, the reality is, when all is said and done, like Lewis Scalia said, in the end, you have only you. And if we take the amount of time to spend with ourselves only, that's by far the most, right? And the reality is, if you are not your own best friend, and in fact, to use the extreme example, if you are your own worst enemy, then life, I would submit, becomes very miserable. Came across this article in preparation for today from Pedro Sousa on LinkedIn. Why, talking about carrying on with the theme of why you should be your own best friend. And he says, firstly, it's a question of knowing yourself better. Let's go through detail a bit. He says, when you're your own best friend, you learn more about yourself. You start to understand your thoughts, feelings, and actions better. This helps us to make good changes in our lives. Secondly, he says it helps you to feel better about yourself. By liking yourself just the way you are, you'll feel more confident and proud, and this will help you feel good about yourself and make life easier. Number 3, he says it assists you to make better choices. When you're your own best friend, you don't have to worry about what others think. You can make choices that are right for you, which makes life more enjoyable. And he continues by saying it assists you to handle problems easier. When you have yourself as a best friend, you always have someone to support you, right? This makes it easier to overcome challenges and setbacks. Next one is it contributes to better relationships, supports better relationships. Being your own best friend sets an excellent example for others. When you love and accept yourself, others are more likely to do the same. And this leads to better relationships with both friends and family. And then finally, he says, you'll put yourself first if you're your own best friend. You'll no longer be saying yes when you want to say no, actually, because you owe it to yourself to do exactly that. Now that you see yourself as your own best friend, you don't want to let yourself down by putting other people's priorities ahead of your own. Lonewolf.com wrote this blog called How to Become Your Own Best Friend. And what they did was they listed 12 ways of doing exactly that. And the question I want you to ask yourself as I go through these 12 points is briefly rate yourself out of 10 against each one of these 10 points. The reason why I'm asking you to do this is because it will also allow you to identify very quickly the areas that you should actually be focusing on more in order to become your own best friend. Praise yourself rather than waiting for others to do it for you. And part of that is, I would like to add, is to celebrate your successes. Your personal successes, celebrate it in one form or another. Second one is realize that you are fundamentally worthy. You are worthy. Number 3, laugh at yourself, especially if you make mistakes. Accept rather than punish yourself, which is something I'll elaborate on a little bit later. Spend a lot of time discovering more about your character and personality. Number 6, cultivate self-awareness. Cultivate self-awareness. Number 7, seek out solitude. I firmly believe if you can't be on your own, at least sometimes, and be content with that, you have to ask a couple of questions. Learn how to support and comfort yourself. Number 8. Number 9, learn to have fun alone. There's one thing I think we are missing, we are missing a trick, especially in today's day and age where we live in a real volatile and uncertain world. It's to have more fun. Also to be able to have more fun on your own. Do a random act of kindness for yourself each day. Listen to your body. And finally, they say it's about learning to focus on positive things about yourself rather than the negative. Focus on the positive things as opposed to focusing on that, what we used to say when I was in one company, as opposed to focusing on the fly on the one corner of the slice of the beautiful pizza. Focus on the beautiful pizza and the arrangement of ingredients. Focus on the positive. So that's what other people say. So I want to share with you, and you can on your own, of course, research much more material around blogs, vlogs, and whatever you want to call it. But I want to share with you what my experience told me. Why is it so important to become your own best friend? And I want you to consider 3 questions. 3 summary questions. And if you can't wait for the recorded version of the session on our website, maybe take a picture of these 3 questions. And I believe that's the acid test. In my view, you have your own views, perhaps, but in my view, this is the acid test of if you can answer these questions positively, you are in all probability well on your way, or you are actually your own best friend. Question is, how do you talk to yourself? Number 2, are you looking after yourself? And number 3, are you being too hard on yourself? So I want to start off the first one. How do you talk to yourself? Well, typically a person says, to use a simple example, I can't as opposed to I can do something. And in the way that you talk to yourself, are you flipping the switch to I'm my own worst enemy? Or are you flipping it down in the way you speak to yourself to represent something that says, I am my own best friend? We cannot underestimate the power of self-talk. There's a book on it. And look inside that head. There's a negative and a positive voice. And by the way, if you don't talk to yourself, something is wrong, because we all do. You need to ask yourself, which one of those 2 am I going to entertain? Love this quote. Self-talk is the most powerful form of communication because it either empowers you or it defeats you. And I want to suggest that when you realize your self-talk starts to spiral into negativity, that you actually tell yourself stop. Because we typically, also if we have self-awareness, we realize this. And we say stop, whoa. And to make a U-turn there, not only in your mind, to stop your thoughts at that point and redirect them in a different direction, but also physically get up and get away from your desk and go and drive somewhere or go and walk around the block. And then ask yourself, am what I'm currently saying to myself the real truth? Or is it my own truth? My own stories that I'm telling myself, which is not really the truth. Oh, Hekkie, you're useless. Check what you did again. That's version A. Negative self-talk. Version B is, Hekkie, you made a mistake. Yeah, I realize that. Did you do it deliberately? No, I didn't. Did you learn from it? Absolutely. Would you make the same mistake again? In all probability, not. And ladies and gents, that's version B, which represents positive, constructive self-talk.
Would you be friends with someone who talks to you the way you talk to yourself? I remember the first time someone asked me this question. I was confronted to find that the answer was no. What about you? If your answer is no, why is that? Do you think it's helpful to relate to yourself that way? Given that you talk to yourself all day long, would you rather those conversations be supportive or destructive? What do you think the long-term effects of either choice might be? I'm totally capable of negative self-talk. Feeling sorry for myself, feeling like there must be something wrong with me, negative looping about an outcome that I fear, imposter syndrome. And I can honestly say that I wouldn't want to be friends with someone who speaks to me the way I speak to myself in those moments. Yet I've spent a significant portion of my life doing just that. Something about the idea of being my own best friend has really got my attention. It's begun to change the way I speak to myself. The next time you catch yourself being unkind or speaking negatively about yourself, try writing down a basic overview of what you're experiencing. And then ask yourself, if my best friend was going through this and I wanted to be supportive, how would I talk to them? Or what would I say? And then try speaking those same words to yourself. Imagine that you're your own best friend and speak to yourself as if that's true. And see what happens.
You see, here's the thing. We all have a life coach 24/7 with us. Called us. Called you, called me. And the question is, how does that life coach talk to me? Positively or negatively? Ultimately, your choice. Question number 2, in terms of Hekkie's acid test, is, are you looking after yourself? And I'm not talking about physically only, it's about body, mind, and soul, right? The guy that understands investments, Warren Buffett, he said, invest in as much of yourself as you are your own biggest asset by far. You are your own biggest asset by far. And in May, the webinar we did, you might recall, I showed you the video that he was on about the fact that if you were to get a car when you were 18 years old as a birthday present, a brand new one, you'll be ecstatic. But here's the kicker. If that's the only car you will ever own until you're 80 years old, for argument's sake, how would you look after that car? You only get one body. How are you looking after your body, mind, and soul? You only get one of those. Your body, mind, and soul, it's not a second-hand car, talking about the car example that you can go and trade and get a new one. If you're your own best friend, you would look after body, mind, and soul like no tomorrow. If you Google the benefits of exercising, you get, look there, Google tells us more, approximately 250 million hits. So if you have ever doubted if there are any benefits around regular exercise, in whatever the form of that exercise might be, I think you need to think twice. And in this vein, now you're looking after yourself. My question is, to yourself and to me, what does our personal development management look like? What does our personal development plans look like? Because if we don't grow, if we don't intentionally focus on growing, we're actually going backwards. And are you making time to reflect? To stand still, maybe like this elephant, look into the abyss and ask yourself, am I on the right track? Are there things that I need to tweak or change? As opposed to running on that treadmill. Because here's the thing, if you keep on running on that treadmill and you don't make enough time to reflect, I would submit once again that at some point you're going to burn out. Final question to the second question is, are you sleeping enough? Because it's important. That's our body's mechanism of healing. Not only our bodies, but our minds and our souls as well. Mahatma Gandhi said, each night when I go to sleep, I die. And the next morning when I wake up, I'm reborn. Final question. As part of my acid test on are you your own best friend or not, is to answer the question, are you being too hard on yourself? One of the overriding themes when I do leadership coaching, getting feedback from my coachees and together getting to coaching objectives to address is the issue of they are taking out the whip too many times, too often. Your own best friend, you will realize that you don't need to take out the whip. Yes, you need to hold yourself accountable. Absolutely, no question. But my plea to you is, especially in tough times, don't take out the whip. Be kind to yourself. Robert Morley, the British actor, said, to fall in love with yourself is the first secret to happiness. You have to love yourself. Otherwise, how are you going to love other people? Not worship yourself, no. But you have to love yourself. You have to fall in love with yourself. Enjoy the body, mind, and soul. And appreciate what you got. Ladies and gents, that is the end. Abruptly, maybe. And I'm going to go off presentation mode and open up for questions because we're almost on 25 minutes. But before I do, please take note that our next Free Friday Lunch webinar topic is for the 30th of August, if all goes well, mastering personal productivity, etc., etc., etc. Last week, we listed all the topics till the end of the year, bearing in mind that we don't do any of these webinars in Decembers because Decembers are typically disruptive or dysfunctional, if I can call it that. If you have not asked me yet to join your LinkedIn network, please do so. I've never not accepted any invitations, and you might be in the receiving end of a lot of other stuff that I do that I'm busy with and that I would like to share. Right. I am, on that note, going to stop sharing. Ultimately, I want to leave you, maybe before we go field one or two questions, leave you with the final thought and reiterate what Lewis Scalia said. In the end, you only have you. And may you be your own best friend and look after yourself and listen to your needs, etc., etc., etc. All those good things that we've covered. And there's obviously many more other in addition to what I have covered today.